CalSPRA 2025. Matthew, we need to class it up today. We have two very special guests talking about one of the best conferences in the country.
Ready or not, here they come. Be sure to visit schoolstatus.com, peachjar.com, nickelstrategies.com, and s'more.com. Advocating for public education, sharing our stories, and celebrating our schools, students, and staff. From crisis communications to media relations, social media, and everything in between. We're here to give you the best strategies, tools, and techniques to help you help your community. Welcome to the School PR Podcast, brought to you by Peach Jar, School Status, Nickel Strategies, and s'more. Love 'em or leave 'em. Here's your hosts, Matthew Jennings and Ryan Ferran.
And welcome back to the School PR Podcast. Glad you are with us. Matthew, you got to behave today, man.
No way will you get me in line. Absolutely not. But I'm stoked to have these two on.
CalSPRA royalty, Trinette Marquis, Executive Director, Jackie Dillard, President of CalSPRA, President-elect. Great to have you guys. How are we doing? We're now like days away from the conference. Very, very nervous times.
Days. Yeah. Whoa. We have a few weeks.
Days.
I'm pretty much conference ready. Like, it's tomorrow. You're out of time.
Oh, no.
We're so ready. Like, this is just old hat by now.
Yeah,
it is. You guys do a great job. It's such a good conference. A lot goes into it. Everyone has questions and they're excited. And so we just thought we would have you guys on. You are the experts of the conference, know the sessions, help people prepare what they need to know, think ahead, just to make their conference experience even better. But we appreciate all the work that goes into it. We know it's a lot.
Yes, you do know it's a lot because you two had to do it yourselves.
It's fun.
Yeah. So. It's very, very rewarding, though. Everyone gets there, and I feel like it's a very appreciative attendees that go, and they do realize for the most part that it is a ton of work. Although now it's grown so big, and there's so many people that it's almost just like another one of the big conferences. But we kind of realize, what it started at small, and the growth of it is just so amazing. So maybe they don't realize what goes into it, but it's still kind of a mom and pop conference that is just starting. Once it's over, start planning the next one. So We're excited. It is March 5th through 8th in San Diego. I guess we'll start with, is there anything new, if you've been to CalSPRA before, that it may be a little bit different this year?
There's always going to be something new. Like, we can't just go like, oh, let's just replay what we did last year, because we're PR professionals. So we've got to innovate and inspire. You want to tell us about the specific things, Jackie?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'm really excited about are the affinity work groups during the lunch breaks. I'm so excited for those. And we did open up a call for people to submit ideas if they wanted to lead one of those affinity groups. And I can give a sneak peek at some of the topics.
Yep.
Let me actually pull that up because I was just working on that before this. One of them is going to be for small one-person shops.
Good.
So get together with your colleagues in similar roles. We're going to have an under 30 affinity group.
Oh, Matthew, me and you can do that one.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hello, little whippersnappers. Good to see you.
And then just another sneak peek. There are more than what I'm sharing, but you'll have to stay tuned. But just one more is going to be an affinity group for graphic designers in that very specific role, which we know, or at least I've seen an increase in those types of roles in the past few years. So very exciting.
One of the great aspects of the CalSPRA conference, and there are many, is that for us in this very niche position in our school districts, we're usually the lone wolf. Maybe we have a small team or whatever, but it's the one conference we go to where you can really relate with everyone there. Mm-hmm. But you guys have done it even better, where you're honing into those positions even further with things like the affinity groups and having sessions for maybe an admin assistant or a graphic designer. So, man, you guys have really, I think, everyone will have a space there, which is so awesome to do. I love the thoughtfulness you guys put into that. I think it's very valuable because there are little tweaks in different positions in our field, but I think that's so great.
And was that based on like some data and feedback that you had received over conferences regarding certain people that are in our profession but have differing backgrounds, and they show up into this space and they want learning as well?
Well, Matthew, I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
Because we have a survey after every conference, and we always look at the feedback that we receive. And even though we try to create, and I think we have for many years created really good regional spaces, we see that, like Ryan said, we're so big that even the regions feel big, right? I mean, we have some of the regions that are bringing 60 or more people. And so it doesn't feel like that little 20-person, LA Central Coast gathering at CalSPRA anymore. It's a much bigger group. So these kind of allow people to talk about more specific things related to just their job. And I think that's what people are looking for. I mean, when I go to the executive leaders of associations, that's the thing that we talk about a lot in those groups, is how to create specialized learning and connecting opportunities. And that's how kind of the future of associations looks, is it's not just a one size fits all. It's what do you need specifically, and how do we meet those needs?
But I hope people realize how much work that takes, because now that CalSPRA's at the phase it's at, being so large, so many members, probably getting close to 1,000 for the first time ever, it's harder and harder to do that because it's a massive conference and you need to appeal to the masses. But you guys are still having these niche sessions for different roles. And so I think that's very commendable, because you could not do that and everyone would still love it. But it's going the extra effort. So I hope people take advantage of that, where they have that little role that nobody else really has maybe in their area. But now's a chance. Oh, there's 3 people in Northern California doing the same thing I'm doing. Now's my chance to connect with them.
Mm-hmm. We also have some other lunchtime sessions. I guess I wouldn't even call it sessions. We really consider these informal gatherings. Mm-hmm. And so one of them, Ryan, you're helping with, I hope that's not a surprise to you. The recent LA fires, what we wanted to do is, if anybody was at CalSPRA March 2020,
I was there.
Remember, yes, that we created the big working space for everybody to kind of come together and say, what do you have? What do you need? How can we share? And we do that digitally through the listserv, but there's something special about those face-to-face connections. So the first day that we're there, we'll have what's tentatively called the LA Fire Working Room. We're still working on the title for that, but basically it's anybody that has experienced a natural disaster recently, or even, a few years ago, that can kind of come together and share like what happened in each phase. Because there's that initial response phase, but Ryan, as you know, you're going through right now, is there's lots of different phases that you go through so that, kids and families feel comfortable returning and you start to get back to normal.
Yeah, I was just talking to my psychologist who returned yesterday to work, and she lost her house, and just hearing the stories, because you see it on the news, but until you hear it. And she was even saying, I tell some people, just go drive up in the neighborhood so you get a sense of just how devastating it is, because the news images are amazing and they're just like devastating. But until you just talk to somebody, and she said it's a full-time job, just on the phone, 8 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night with insurance, adjuster, water company, trying to find her and another friend that works in our district. They were looking for a couple of weeks together at apartments to try and rent. And they're like, it was so bad. But to your point, it continues for a long time. And if you haven't seen, there was a great session that you guys did years ago after the fire up in Northern California. The name is slipping.
Sonoma. Yeah.
Sonoma was crazy. Yeah.
The campfire. There's a great documentary on Netflix about it. I highly recommend seeing it. But they were saying, and I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago with Gail, who was on. We did a kind of a SoCal wildfire special. They're in like a 30-year rebuild plan. They're nowhere near rebuilding, and that was 5 years ago. And so it is devastating. There are so many different steps, but just talking to them, hearing the stories, it's gut wrenching. So I think that's great that you guys are doing that. And I do have from years ago, that panel that you guys had from the wildfires at a CalSPRA conference. That's still on there on our podcast somewhere. It's really good information you had with some of those rock stars who dealt with that. And that was one of the most deadliest wildfires, I think number one in California ever. Just insane.
And the stories were incredible. I mean, Paradise School District, school had already started when the fire really broke in the town, and you had parents that were fleeing, not knowing where their kids were. We had a bus driver that grabbed all the kids and just said, okay, come on, we're getting down the mountain. Like,
that documentary talks about that. And it talked about the two teachers who went but they were very scared. They didn't know what to do. They went on the bus with the kids, and they're similar to what happened here. They're stuck in traffic and nobody can get out, and flames start. Oh,
it's bad.
Unbelievable.
Chills.
That's why we ended up in Sonoma that year that we had the conference up there, was to go kind of give the economy a boost and bring everybody out to support.
That's right. CalSPRA cares.
CalSPRA cares.
That was it.
Another thing we have happening at lunchtime, we're trying to use that lunchtime space, if you will, for emerging issues, because, people turned in their sessions in September. And so, you might notice that the world is a little bit different than it was in September.
It's the understatement of the year.
One of the things that we've done is F3's been a great legal partner to CalSPRA for years. I think Ryan, you and Matthew helped make that happen even before I was a part of CalSPRA. And they're going to be coming at lunchtime and just doing an informal Q&A, like what's changed with immigration policy, and answer some scenario questions. And then they're doing an actual session as well. But for anybody that wants more detailed questions, they can come during that lunch hour and get those questions answered.
Yeah, and they're doing the session on Thursday with Terilyn and Peter Fagan. Politics, policies, and practices, immigration. They're doing all the new stuff. So that is a great session. I'm glad my session is not at that same time, because that one should be packed, because that's everyone's talking about. So that's I'm glad you guys are doing that, because every other day there's something new with K-12 education. So that is like, wow, that's been a lot. That Wednesday session, the kind of the kickoff the conference, who do you recommend that for, and kind of what does that entail?
Well, that's actually pretty exciting. It's the newcomer session. So that's the only pre-session we're able to offer this year. And we already have over 70 people registered. So that says a lot. Yeah. It's really targeted towards folks that this is their first CalSPRA conference.
Wow.
So even if they've been a member for a while, we still encourage them to come to that pre-session. It's totally free. Just got to show up on Wednesday a little bit earlier. And I believe it's 2 to 4. And it's really just how to make the most of your first CalSPRA conference. And we're also taking some extra steps to really engage with folks who are brand new in their role, brand new to CalSPRA. We really want to engage and welcome them as well. So we're going to be taking a few extra steps on that front too.
Yeah, CalSPRA Matthew and I were talking about this previously. It was so beneficial to us in those first few years. Yep. Now there's like a game plan. There's a session to go to figure out how to navigate it. You have the cheat sheet for you. So I'd love to spend a second if we can just go over some tips for first-time attendees. Like, what should you be doing? How should you take notes? You're going to miss a session that you want to go to. How do you conquer that?
What do they wear?
Yeah.
The important question, Matthew.
That comes up every year. Whatever
you choose to wear, be comfortable.
Yep.
Wear comfortable shoes, because you will get your steps in. We have sessions on 2 different floors. So you'll
not to mention all the evening stuff.
Exactly. There will be some dancing, I am sure. That usually happens at CalSPRA.
Matthew didn't even know there was daytime stuff. He just goes for the night stuff.
Yeah, PD. What's this PD? What does that mean?
What are these sessions during the day that are you talking about?
It sounds cool. Newfangled stuff you're doing.
But Matthew's so good at night that it really kind of makes up for his absence during the day. We
There
just
you
go
go.
to watch Matthew sing and dance.
Yeah, come on
Well,
out.
Matthew, you'll appreciate this tip. I always tell folks, especially that are coming in new, to schedule some downtime because it is a lot. It's a lot of information. The mental
Yep.
overwhelm you may experience. Schedule some downtime.
It's a good
Even
call.
if it's just 30 minutes to just go sit in your room and kind of process what you have learned.
Yep.
Maybe make a few notes of, hey, this is what I want to implement right when I get back. I'm really excited about this. And then this is something that might take a little bit more time, but take that time away from the big group setting.
And don't feel bad about it.
Yes. Don't,
because it's early mornings, late nights. Don't feel bad about it. Jackie's on point. That is huge. I made that mistake for like years.
Yeah, you don't have to attend to everything.
No.
Like we literally, if you attended everything at CalSPRA, you would be busy from 8 o'clock in the morning and peopling until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, minimum 10 o'clock at night. I remember there was one time Ryan and I were headed out of we were headed out of a conference, a hotel at some point, going out to meet somebody. I don't know, some big wigs that we thought were like the coolest people in the world, who still are. And I told Ryan, I said, dude, if we go out these doors right now, we're not coming back till 3 a.m. And I was right on. I think we got back exactly at 3 a.m. I mean, it's just
I was back in my hotel room at 9 o'clock studying for the next morning.
It's fun, but it is very, very long days, and you don't have to do that, till 3 a.m. stuff. But yeah, definitely fun days, and the networking's fun, and so definitely don't feel bad if you have to take time. It's a good point.
Yeah, one good tip is always divide and conquer too. If you have a team, somebody else in your office, go take notes, share notes. If you don't have, if you're a one-man shop, as they say, find a partner early on in that first session and say, hey, let's kind of partner up. And if I go to these sessions, I'm happy to share my notes. Can you share your notes? I know you guys make the presentations available online, but don't feel like you're going to have session envy where you're like, oh, I want to go to that one, but I really want to go to this one. Work with somebody, talk to people that are there, and then all the stuff. I know all the resources are online, so don't feel like you're going to miss out. Just go, be involved in the session you're at, enjoy it, and don't have FOMO.
Yeah. And the good news is we actually do the conference callback sessions too. So the highest rated sessions get a webinar later in the year. So if it was really good and you had FOMO legitimately, don't worry, it'll be back.
Yep.
Nice. Anything else for first timers? We talked about kind of the first night, there's a reception. Anything else that they should keep in mind as they're coming to this?
You know what? This year we made a conference know before you go webpage. So if someone does have questions, everything should be on that webpage, including what to wear. Yeah, and I'll say this one last time, as an executive board member, I plan on wearing jeans. So jeans are perfectly okay.
Excellent.
Yes. But yeah, the conference know before you go, it's literally calspra.org/know before you go. And it has everything from the agenda to our new golf event this year, Ask a Pro, walking you through the Whova app and how to get that downloaded.
No, that's a cool app.
Process. Yeah. So it's all there.
The Whova app is great. Whova's fantastic. So I recommend, you guys do have it web accessible, so it's great. You can see the sessions, but definitely download the Whova app before you get there because it'll be in your pocket. You don't have to have the program, et cetera, and it'll save some trees.
And you can even go into Whova and pick out your sessions before you go.
Yep, add them to your calendar.
Add them to your calendar. It'll say, like, Matthew, you're running late. You wanted to go to that F3 session. It's starting right now. Better get there.
I will be there, by the way, at that session.
What are the kind of emerging themes? We kind of talked about the new themes we're seeing with all the executive orders and all that. Is there any, I know each year there's like, the
artificial intelligence,
crisis communications, AI is big, diversity is big. What is kind of the theme or themes for this year's conference?
I mean, you kind of touched on those big ones, didn't you? I've seen a few video ones that I'm really interested in attending. So I think that those will be well attended and I'm excited about those. And then on the note of creating spaces for different types of roles, we have an executive assistant track this year. So that's another cool thing about the agenda is when you go to the agenda, you can actually narrow things down by a track, and those will help you sort through the many amazing sessions that we're offering.
That's very cool.
Yeah. You're going to have like 7 choices every single time period. So it is going to be tough. And they're all heavy hitters, Ryan. Like you were saying, like I wouldn't want to be up against F3, but we literally had twice as many sessions as we could accept this year.
Wow.
So that means everybody that got in is going to be pretty amazing. I would say
That's
one
awesome.
other theme I noticed is a lot of family engagement stuff.
Okay.
So if that's something that you want to add to your skill set, I know we have a lot of people that come from journalism or somewhere else straight into PR. You wouldn't necessarily have a background with that engagement stuff. If that's the area where you're like, I want to beef it up, there's going to be tons of family engagement sessions as well.
It's like the Cheesecake Factory of conferences. There's
really
pages and pages of options.
Okay. I'm like, where is he going with this?
Pages and pages of delicious, delectable options.
Yes.
Yes.
You can never go wrong.
When does registration close?
Ooh, February 21st, which is coming up. How is it February?
Yeah, seriously. That is coming up.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, February 21st. Although we were very careful with planning when things closed, and we tried to do everything for February 21st. However, the 5K, because we are ordering not only really cool t-shirts this year, but we're also adding medals for participants. I know, another new thing. That registration closes February 13th. So if you want to do the 5K, whether you walk, run, or if you're like me and you just want a cool t-shirt and you want to cheer folks on, go ahead and register.
All right, where are you going to be? Because that's my speed.
Yeah, I'm going to be at the finish line with a really hot cup of coffee and a
I'm all about that.
cool shirt. Yeah.
In the hotel lobby, probably about 7.
Okay.
You're going to see a lot of people coming back in.
That's cool.
How
I
much
can
is
do that.
the,
I just have I can't walk that. I don't want to run that. Unless you got like a pack of angry dogs chasing everybody. I just don't see any reason in running a 5K.
you put a beer on the end of a stick? Will you participate?
Definitely. Definitely.
How much is the 5K and the t-shirt?
It's $30.
Cool.
$30.
So relatively inexpensive when you think about it.
What other special functions do you have like that people need to register for?
We have the golf event.
Okay.
So that's new. It will be on the Saturday. So Saturday morning, we wake up a little bit later because we know Friday night people win awards and they go out and celebrate. But at breakfast that day, we have the regional chairs are leading a discussion of like, what did you learn? And how do you organize all of that to meet with your leadership team when you get back? And tell them, here are the things I want to do right now. Here are the things, like Jackie said, I'm going to plan on looking forward to in future years, because that will help cement the value of sending you to the conference. And then right after that, we have golfing at Coronado Island.
Oh, come on.
Anybody,
I don't golf.
Anybody
That's
wants
awesome.
to sign up. We don't have a price yet because it
that.
kind of depends on how many people sign up. We've got to arrange the transportation and everything. But from what I hear, the Coronado course is a Muni course, so it's not that expensive.
Oh.
So we should be able to get people in fairly inexpensively. And we ordered breakfast burritos, so you can like grab and go over to golf.
Nice.
And it's open to anybody. So if people bring spouses, friends, family, anybody that wants to join us for golf.
That brings up a good question. What if I want to bring my spouse or significant other to the conference?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
Love it.
Yeah. The only thing that you have to pay a little bit extra for is if you want to bring them to the awards dinner. You might not know this. Of course, I know that you do, but the hotel charges us a crazy amount.
Yes, they do.
For the dinner. So we do unfortunately have to charge for extra guests for that one.
Great. And I've never been to San Diego. What do I need to know?
It's beautiful. We're keeping an eye on the weather. So fingers crossed for sunshine. I'm
Are you
putting
gonna
it
are you
in the
gonna
universe.
change the weather depending on what you see or
Come on,
what?
Ryan. It's
You know
CalSPRA.
what?
Do you know how many members we have? Come on. Of course we can
One of
change the
our
weather.
best conferences, we talked about it earlier, was in Santa Rosa when it was
Oh my God, I loved
pouring
it.
rain, and that was still one of our
We
funnest,
were all locked
best
in the
conference.
hotel. Yeah, that was so rad. I
That
love
was
that. I
awesome.
absolutely loved it.
And the floods were threatening. It was
Yeah,
like getting all of these warnings on our phones.
it was
Yeah,
fun.
I
You
remember that.
know,
It doesn't
that,
matter where you're at; it's who you're with,
there
and
you
it was
go.
a
Absolutely.
great
This is a
time.
good group.
Yes. Although
Yeah.
But
San
no, I mean the
Diego
hotel.
doesn't hurt. Like
No.
literally, we were like, "Hey, come to the conference in San Diego," and we opened in June this year, and we were sold out of the hotel within a month, and we were sold out of the second hotel shortly thereafter. So we do have two additional hotels on that Know Before You Go page.
Nice. That being said, if it's not 75 and sunny, we all want a refund. Is that doable? Just kidding.
You know, let me make a few calls.
Thank you.
'Cause,
Thank
yeah, yeah.
Trinette, you mentioned something very important and interesting about getting together with the regional chairs on Saturday. Then what can you bring back to your leadership team to kind of educate them on the value? I'd like to just take a moment to expand on that a bit. Matthew and I were talking on a previous episode that we're talking about NSPRA, their upcoming conference. They just announced registration. We're thinking because of budgets they're starting to tighten everywhere in the country, that it's going to be a little bit tougher for people to get there. They're going to have to make those arguments before they go now. What are some things that you can do to help convince your leadership, your superintendent, to allow you to go, that this money is going to be so worth its value and investment in you going to get this PD? Any guidance on that as how people can kind of pitch that to their bosses?
Well, I would say go to the Know Before You Go page and look specifically at the detailed agenda and line it up with your district's priorities. So if you're about to launch a new website, if you have video needs and maybe you need to learn some new video skills, or maybe you want a new intranet. I'm literally looking at the agenda right here. If you want to improve your Instagram presence and learn about the new algorithms, like all of these sessions you can kind of take a look at and say, hey, this aligns with what it is that we've already talked about we want to do. And then I think a lot of the lunchtime stuff, those emerging issues, that's where leadership teams really start to understand the value of their school communicators. Is they're able to come together and we get the best thought partners all together in different rooms and say, here's what our district is communicating. Here's what our county office is communicating. And then they can go back and say, hey, here's what other folks are doing around immigration. Here's what other folks are doing around preparing for a disaster or recovering from a disaster.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact lines with you. If you have some initiative, I guarantee you it's going to be on the agenda somewhere. Bring that to your boss and say, look, there's 3 sessions on this. I set up lunch with these people afterwards too. I'm going to talk to them after this. I'll bring back the notes. We will have a solid game plan for this thing you want us to do this year. I think that is great advice. And so I think superintendents realize that. They all go to conferences, your CBOs, they all go to conferences. It's just like, here, let me give you some hard data evidence. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I'll bring back. And this is going to be well worth any money we spend going to it.
It's a great time to spend with sponsors too, right? Let's say that you want to adopt something new like Peach Jar, right? They're going to have a lot of people there. You're going to be able to talk with them one-on-one, and it's not going to be this hard pressure sales environment. That's not how our sponsors behave. If you're looking for a new website provider, if you're looking for new emergency messaging, translation, interpretation, really any service that you can think of related to school PR, you're going to find folks that are going to be there and ready to talk to you about what they offer and how they can support your work.
That's a good point too, because we have these 2 initiatives we're going to do. There's going to be 4 sessions on those. And then we're thinking about switching websites. They're going to be there. I set up time with them. So it's just such a valuable trip. The hotel rates, the deal you guys get is incredible. The value is amazing. So that is a way to get there, but I'm worried about budgets, but that is a great way to do it is to just kind of present those very, very good arguments. And then the awards night is always very fun. What should people know about that? Is there a reception before, straight to the dinner? What happens there?
Are we dressing up?
I'm letting Jackie take that because she has been the awards queen for years before she even joined the board.
Only question I have is, can Ryan and I stack the awards in our white gloves?
Yes.
I mean,
That was
so,
fun.
You know what? Actually, reach out to Brittany, our volunteer chair. She is taking down names so that we can have enough volunteers to make sure that behind the scenes everything is running smoothly, including awards setup. So
That's awesome.
but for awards, the gala itself, it is cocktail attire. We see some folks that get really dressed up, and it's always a fun time. So yeah, I encourage people to dress up and have fun within reason. And then there is a reception beforehand. Check-in will include drink tickets, enough for a couple of drinks each night. And then we'll go into the ballroom and we'll get the awards gala started around 7:30, I believe.
That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that was fun. Matthew and I wore white gloves. We polished all the awards. We classed that joint up. We didn't win any awards. We're not good enough to win, but we wanted to touch them and make sure they were nice and presentable for everyone else.
It was fun.
I remember those gloves, and I really appreciate how classy you guys kept it.
We might have to order some more of those.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea.
Those gloves came with the awards that I had ordered them from this place here in the city that I live in, and they sent the gloves along with the awards. I was like, that's actually a nice touch because you can't even unbox them without getting all messy. So the gloves were nice.
That is really nice.
Yeah. Speaking of awards, people ask about that a lot. I think CalSPRA Awards has the best awards in any industry. They're the most affordable. There's been so many, for people that don't know and they're new to the field, there's been so many iterations to make it even better, more accessible to people. I believe you guys, Trinette, you guys done like sessions on, I'll help you write your awards application. Like you guys have done so much. Just talk about the awards, what's the process, and that sort of thing, just so people have an understanding of them.
Well, we have a variety of awards. So the individual awards, you can apply for a campaign level or a tactic level. And the campaign level, we're really looking for you to demonstrate that 4-step process. If you're studying for your APR or have your APR, it's a great opportunity for you to like grab a project, use that, apply for an award, apply for your APR, all in the same fell swoop. And then the tactical awards can be, just about anything. We've got photography, we've got writing. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we, as of last year, we're the only chapter in the country that offer diversity, equity, and inclusion awards specifically.
Right.
So campaigns related to that, engaging diverse audiences within your district, or even specific writing samples related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's one of the things we're super excited about. And then we also celebrate the individual pros. Jackie, you want to talk more about that?
Yeah. So, and you're talking about the pins, right? Just making sure.
I'm talking about the what?
The pins.
Yes, but before the pins, the
special, yes,
the special awards.
Of course, I want to talk about that, Trinette. We have our special recognitions for folks that are nominated, and those are completely free to nominate a colleague in the world of school PR. So we have our superintendents to watch. We have our emerging communication leader, and then our communication leader. And then we typically have a President's Award or a CalSPRA Service Award. Sometimes we do both. Sometimes we do one or the other. And I feel like I'm missing one. Did I say our Rising Star?
No, you had not.
That was it. And our Rising Star Award. So each of those are at the discretion of the board, but we review the nominations, and then there are certain criteria for each award. And and then we reach out and let the nominator know. So it is a complete surprise to the nominee, which is always just really fun to see our colleagues that we see them doing so much. And by we, I mean everybody on the listserv, everyone who's a member in CalSPRA. We see these people doing so much for their district, their community, and the work they're putting in. And so it's really fun to watch them, kind of light up with that surprise of being recognized.
Yeah, please don't look at me during those awards because I'm like bawling the whole time. It is so exciting to watch them get surprised. It is just like, like
Matthew, I just heard get 3 extra cameras to focus on Trinette during the awards. Did you get that?
Totally on it. Yep.
Okay, we got that. Okay, awesome.
But Jackie, tell them about the pins. I almost forgot about those.
Okay, I keep coming up with new things that are so exciting. This year, so we recognized in previous years, and I say we, really shout out to Judy, who's on our awards committee with Jessica.
Yep.
Judy came up with the idea of allowing folks to receive something that they get to take with them. So let's say they win an award, and that award typically stays with the organization.
Yes.
Where the work was performed.
Oh, heck no. I take that thing. I mean,
no.
It's like absolutely not.
Littered with
I left mine in my office when I left. I'm sad.
Just kidding. No, I know. Point taken.
Well, so some people who don't take their award with them, we're going to provide them with a special lapel pin as an award winner.
That's neat.
Yeah, so they get to take that form of recognition with them if they ever choose to go on to a different district or county office of education.
That's really cool. I love that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. I loved winning the awards, but it was really sad leaving them.
Yeah.
I would have took those things right with me, but that's just me. Anyway. Trinette gave me a tip years ago that I've passed on to many, many, many people. In addition to the CalSPRA Awards being so affordable, very reasonable, you already have a template for your NSPRA award submissions. Mm-hmm. So the work's already almost pretty much done. So I know because it does take a lot of work to submit the awards. I mean, you got to show all your planning and all that stuff that went into it, research, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes time, but it's kind of worth double bang for your buck because you can take that pretty much and to submit it to NSPRA as well if you're an NSPRA member. So I tell people that too, and they're kind of on the fence and said, look, submit it to CalSPRA. I think it's great to win an award, show your superintendent, et cetera. And then if you're an NSPRA, you already have that done. So it's a great tip.
Yeah. And also, one, we're using the same platform as NSPRA this year. So
that's cool.
Like literally you can just grab everything and put it back in. And then the other thing that people need to keep in mind, because I look at the data, and when we do our member survey, the thing that superintendents rate super, super highly is awards. Like they by far are the ones that rate it a 5 out of 5. The rest of our folks are usually rating everything fairly high, but the superintendents love the awards. They love to be able to brag about their people, and it probably gives them really good support for, keeping folks fully staffed during hard times and talking about what an amazing team they have when they're talking to their board about difficult choices. So, it's always good to get recognition, but as budgets get tighter, it might be even more important.
You mentioned superintendents, and that's one area where CalSPRA has grown exponentially over the years is with superintendents attending. Now there's sessions for them. What does it look like for the number? I remember the first, maybe a few years ago, we're like, oh, there's 3 superintendents here. This is awesome. And now that's gone way up. What are you seeing with as far as more superintendents attending this year and some opportunities they have for networking and sessions and doing sessions too? Some of them are presenting, which is awesome.
I'm going to check the numbers on attending, but Jackie, do you want to talk about those that are presenting?
Now I need to pull up our agenda, which I can do. I will say, again, going back to the tracks, we have a leadership track. And then we have a strategic planning track, and I highly recommend that superintendents check those out. And then
Here's another thing real quick while you're looking at that. I know there's a session being done by an administrative assistant too. So even
Two
if
of them.
you, two of them, amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're a PIO, but you're kind of your admin assistant may help you, 1/8 of the time. Or this is a great excuse to get them there as well too, because there's now sessions for them, which is just awesome.
Yeah. One of the things that I love seeing is when a superintendent is presenting with their PIO or a PIO colleague that they've worked with in the past. So we do have, you have a new superintendent, now what, and what the role of communications is and ensuring a new superintendent's success in that role. Because when you think about it, a new superintendent coming into a new district, or perhaps they're just stepping into a new elevated role than what they've previously been, it's really important to build that relationship with the PIO and then also to build that relationship with the community in that role. So that's going to be a session, and that's really great for both PIOs and superintendents to attend together. And then there's even a session on preparing for when superintendents and school boards disagree, right? We're all human. And we all
That doesn't happen. Does that
never
happen? Is that a
happens,
thing
right?
somewhere? Is that happening anywhere?
It's a fantasy. No, and that's actually being led by Nicholas Wade, who is a superintendent at Columbia Union School District, and that's another really great one. Is how do you manage those conflicts, and again, keeping at the heart of what it is we're here for, which is to serve students.
That's awesome. And Anna Karen, who's amazing at Laguna Beach, is doing a session with her superintendent. They are going head to head. I mean, I even plugged that despite going head to head against me and Jake Finch. I mean, come on. What the heck?
Oh man,
That's awesome. It's so good for opportunities.
One more that's really great for county office superintendents is the COE session. Kendra Britt always leads that. And she typically brings in a couple of COE colleagues, but that's really just informational for what's coming down the pipeline at the COE level, and then how to disperse information for districts.
That's cool.
Those county folks just sitting in the county office, relaxing,
hanging out,
having tea and coffee all day.
Worried about
districts are putting out all the fires.
on the website.
Yeah, just hang out at the county office, everybody.
Talking to you, Ian Hannigan.
Districts don't even know where their county office is, or they're just sitting there having lunch.
I do not endorse that opinion.
Same.
Oh, we kid
It looks
because
like
we
we have
love all the
about
county office people.
25 superintendents and assistant superintendents attending.
Oh my good, and assistant superintendents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's got to be a record, right?
I think so.
That's pretty
It's
cool.
not something we've been tracking, but maybe we should. It is pretty impressive.
Super cool.
Is this going to be record attendance this year? Registrations, I should say.
I suspect so, because we are already at the level that we were at last year. And
Great.
one of the things I've learned about working at CalSPRA is that school PR pros procrastinate and they wait until the very last moment.
Yeah,
So like
that's cool.
for awards, for example, we're like, oh no, are we going to need to, extend the deadline? And then literally the day that everything closes, we get in probably 50% of the award nominations.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with conference registrations. Once early bird passes and like rates aren't changing at all, I imagine that we'll probably get a good 20% additional attendees right before the February 21st deadline.
Cool.
That is awesome.
Very cool.
What are we up to numbers wise for CalSPRA members?
Ooh, membership.
Ooh. So I have to tell you, it's a complicated answer. Okay. Because when you guys were on the board, we tracked spaces. So for example, if you're an institution and you have 3 spaces,
Oh, gotcha.
we were tracking that.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've changed to tracking active members. But we're still pretty high up there. We're over 800 active members. But
That's incredible.
if we were tracking just spaces, Ryan, we would be super close to that 1,000.
It's really incredible.
That's
Yeah.
really
And I have to give a lot of credit to someone new on staff. There's 2 of us now. I don't know if you knew that, But we have Karen Smith. She's the executive assistant. And she has kind of taken it on as a personal challenge to get us to 1,000. And so if someone lapses, you're going to hear from Karen. If you registered as a non-member for the conference, you're probably going to hear from Karen because you just paid the same amount it would cost to become a member at CalSPRA. So she will call and say, hey, why don't we make you a member for the same rate that you just paid to just be a non-member registrant.
That's cool.
So she is just completely on top of it.
Go get them, Karen.
Yeah.
I like it. What is Karen's background?
It's kind of amazing because, when we put the job out there, you're like, it's only 10 hours a week. Who's really going to be interested in that? And we just universes collided. She is a retired teacher and also ran a region of the California Writing Project. So she knows kind of how to lead operations and was a past president of the local Optimist Club. So she knows nonprofits too.
Cool.
So we feel very lucky.
Yeah, nice ad. Good background.
Welcome, Karen. That was great. Doing good work. All right. Anything else that, by the way, Matthew, did you know that Jackie and Trinette are both previous guests on the School PR podcast? So if you want to jump in.
Know this.
You did know that.
Did.
The others didn't know that. They wanted to. We had Jackie on. Matthew, me and you just fought the whole time. But we talked about. Jackie gave us great information about a strategic communications plan. Mm-hmm. We had Trinette on talking about her amazing book. She's an author as well about data, getting the numbers. We're talking about all this stuff, how to convince your superintendent, but data is, they can't fight the data. The data says it. So it's, if you want to listen to those episodes, you can't get enough of them, which we can't. There's more of them.
Yep.
I just want to thank you guys for the work that you're doing in this space because, it is hard to find places to go to really get quality information. And this is such a niche space. So this is a great place for anyone who wants to hear about the latest trends, talk to people who are out there doing great work. I mean, you guys just seem to be on the pulse of things and really reaching out to the right people and talking about the right things. I'm constantly telling people, if you want to learn about this industry, if you're new to it, check these guys out. They're pretty decent.
Sweet. Love that. That's awesome. Thanks for the plug.
That's the best review we've ever gotten. They are pretty decent.
Pretty decent. Appreciate that. That's awesome. No, for real. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, Matthew and I were talking last week. We love our audience because they are very ambitious. And they're the ones seeking out additional PD. Mm-hmm. They are junkies. They're reading the magazines from AXA and CSPA. They're listening to our podcast. They're attending the CalSPRA webinars. They're trying to figure out how can I get to the conference. So we know there's way more people, but our audience, they're the ones that want to get better. So, and we were saying when we have people on, we're not going to get too much into your life history because we want to get to the strategies, tactics, and techniques right away because we want to help them get better. So appreciate you saying that. We have over 130 episodes now. This will be our third one this week. Actually, this is a record week for us. Wow. Our third episode. But appreciate that. And we were talking about, with the budget cuts and can you go to NSPRA or not? It's like, just make sure if you have a SPRA, especially if you're in California, you got to go to CalSPRA. Yep. If you have to pay out of pocket, pay out of pocket. Yep. It'll be the best money and investment in your career and future. So I appreciate you saying that because we have people on that are going to everything, trying to figure it out. So that's what we try to give them on the School PR podcast.
Yep. Good call.
All right. Anything else we should know before we go to CalSPRA 2025? What's the hashtag this year? Are we hashtagging it up or what?
Are hashtags still a thing, Ryan?
I don't even know. I don't think so. Are they? God, I learned that at my first CalSPRA. I guess that's just irrelevant now, right?
Oh, man. No,
I will say rooms get super cold. That's the first CalSPRA I went to. I had a dress on.
Which one did you go to? Which one was your first CalSPRA?
Really?
Me and Matthew were talking about our first CalSPRAs. I think I don't remember exactly.
I think mine was 2000. 6 or 7.
Oh, that's not that long ago. I thought you were pretending like it was going to be 1976 you went to CalSPRA or something. 2000, that's not that old.
Yeah.
On that note, mine was 2020, so Newport, baby.
That was your first CalSPRA?
That was my first experience.
What?
And here I am.
Perfect. It was a really good year. Here's an emergency operations center. This is what we do. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Kendra in her pajamas holding her baby on stage.
What a sight.
Yep. Matthew, what was your first CalSPRA? Do you remember?
I don't. San Francisco, I think, at some point way back. Yeah, I don't remember.
That one. One of the things I just love, though, is I think, like, especially the PR field, you can kind of imagine it to be a lot more intimidating than it really is. You know, especially the way that PR people are portrayed in most movies and shows. But the thing I've always appreciated about the CalSPRA community is just how kind and generous people are. So, like, the whole other layer beyond the professional development and the emerging issues is just making friendships like the ones I have with the people on this podcast right now. Like, these are people that you will know the rest of your life. And you'll care about each other, and you'll reach out and text each other and just, you know, see what's going on and how you can support each other. And that's priceless.
Let me just add to that, Trinette. You said something big time there. And I know I did a imposter syndrome video with Ryan, and I did that last CalSPRA. Which was awesome. And I just got to say that my first couple of CalSPRAs, I was freaking terrified of, like, Dan Thigpen, Kendra, music. Oh my God, music was very scary to me. Like, just these people that just seemed to have life figured out, and they just knew how to do everything, and they just were like larger than life. And I was like this guy in a room, just really terrified and awkward. And I just want everybody to know, like, reach out to anybody, especially if you see somebody in the exec board or extended board or whatever. Reach out. You know, hang out with them. I know all of us want to meet you. Everybody's there to meet you. And so if it's your first CalSPRA and you're feeling kind of like, what am I doing in the room? You're in the room because that's where you're supposed to be, and everybody wants you there, and everybody wants to meet you and know you and hang out, all of that, which is cool. Also, if you really want to dive into the deep end and you're not yet, figure out how to volunteer, because that's how you're going to get the most out of your membership and where you really develop those relationships. But just I know it's easy for me to say now, but just try not to be afraid of anybody. We're all trying to figure it out, and we're all happy to sit and commiserate and talk and share ideas with any of you all. So
the only one to be scared of is Matthew, and everyone else is just an absolute sweetheart.
He'll get you in trouble.
Avoid that Jennings guy. If he invites you to dinner or a happy hour, just turn the other way and run.
Unless you want adventure, I choose life. Live.
Please tell Jessica, Sundeep, Rob, and of course Karen, thank you for all their work. And if you're attending CalSPRA, give them a big high five and say thank you for all the effort. You won't know how much better your conference is, but they've been working their tails off. They're all volunteers, most of them, doing this work, and it's great work, so we appreciate it. One last thing before we go to help the new members get more involved in CalSPRA. I know you guys have done great work over the years with the regionals. So if people want to get a little bit more involved in the regionals, is there something you suggest about this is how you get in touch with the regionals, or who to find to talk to?
Well, definitely, if you're coming to the conference, attend your regional events, because those are going to be led by the regional chairs, and they are going to be providing their contact information. So that's the best way. And then you'll have a face to put with the name. But if you're not for any reason attending, we actually have all of our regions on our website. And again, there's photos and there's contact information there.
Awesome. And the regions are just such another value to CalSPRA. And if you have that budget issue and you're not a member or whatever, talk about the local stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, when the natural disaster hit here, and even when it's just a weather thing, more mild, connecting with your region is so valuable. You'll be kicking yourself during that crisis if you don't have colleagues to connect with. You can just ask your district next to you, what are you guys doing? Why are you doing that? Are you closing? Are you opening? It's just such a value. You guys are awesome. Jackie, Trinette, amazing. Thanks so much for the time, helping people understand the CalSPRA 25. Check out calspra.org. All the information is already there. Register if you haven't already. Network, and we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Be sure to follow the School PR Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and X, where you can find additional resources and highlights from the show. Please like, subscribe, and all the fun stuff. And most importantly, without our sponsors, this podcast doesn't exist. Please visit schoolstatus.com, peachjar.com, nickelstrategies.com, and smore.com. Until next time, keep learning, inspiring, and making a difference. Thanks so much for your support of the School PR Podcast.